Mental Wandering, Initiation into Hermetics, Step 8. In this chapter 1 we'll be dealing with a subject which is of the greatest importance for any future development in magic, leaving the physical body, or, in other words, the separation of the mental body and, later on, the separation of the astral body from the physical body. Every magician who has worked conscientiously in the art of magic must possess the ability to leave his physical body at any time and travel over vast distances, to visit other continents, and, in short, to travel wherever he pleases. For the experienced magician, this seemingly complicated ability is very simple. Just as a pigeon leaves her pigeon house, that is how easy it should be for a magician to leave his physical body, and to be at that same moment wherever he wishes to be, able to see, hear, and feel everything. This ability does not serve the magician merely to satisfy his curiosity and have a close view of what is happening, but instead should be used for the benefit of other people. Since matter is no obstacle for the magician, because time and space do not exist for his spirit can dart around the whole world in the blink of an eye. The separation of the mental body from the physical body not only enables the magician to move freely about on our planet, but with his mental body he can also travel to other spheres in accordance with his maturity. In this manner he learns to know the entire universe, and should the need arise he can also be active in these particular spheres to a certain degree. The actual reason for mental or spiritual travel is to learn to know the entire universe or macrocosm. This endeavor should be very close to every magician's heart. Theoretically, much could be said about this ability and everything connected with it. However, since this work deals with the practice, we will not spend our time on the description of experiences and occurrences, because the magician has to gather these for himself in order to reach his own convictions and for his future missions. Let us therefore immediately direct our attention towards the practice, the development of mental travel, which in reality is a transposition of consciousness, a transposition of the mind or spirit. The student would be well advised to first complete some preparatory exercises, in other words a kind of pre-schooling. Being properly prepared safeguards the student from many future disappointments. The following exercise is a very important preliminary exercise for mental travel. Sit in your usual asana posture in front of a mirror, one which is large enough for you to see yourself as a whole, in other words from head to toe. If you have a large mirror at your disposal, it is of course logical that the distance from the mirror to your physical body not be as far as if you had a smaller mirror. With a smaller mirror you would have to sit farther away from the mirror in order to see your reflection as a whole. Observe your mirror image for a few minutes, close your eyes and in your mind's eye imagine your mirror image in every detail. If you are able to commit to the power of your imagination every feature of your mirror image in every detail, then proceed. Should you not be able to accomplish this, then repeat this procedure until you have attained the ability to imagine in your mind every single feature of your mirror image. Particular attention must be paid to the head and facial expressions. When, after repeated exercises, you have succeeded in imagining your mirror image in every detail in accordance with the original, then transfer your consciousness into your mirror image to such a degree that you have the feeling that you are actually present within your mirror image. This transposition of consciousness has the purpose of teaching you to observe your physical body from within your own mirror image. When you have succeeded, attempt to observe, from the vantage point of your mirror image, those objects which are visible in the mirror. Since this exercise will be fairly difficult for the aspiring student in the beginning, therefore conscientiously visualize those objects that are nearby with your imaginative powers. However, in due time you will be able to perceive everything immediately after the transposition into your mirror image, exactly as if you were to observe with your physical eyes. Once you have obtained these abilities, you have reached the maturity to travel mentally or for mental travel. Again, the student must be forewarned not to make any attempts to practice this exercise unless he has conscientiously completed all the previous exercises step by step, because the exercises of separating the consciousness from the physical body, which are also called mental projection exercises, may at times result in disturbances of consciousness among weaker people. For this reason the warning is quite appropriate, and those students who have mastered and completed all the previous exercises step by step can not only practice this exercise, but without hesitation practice all future exercises without having to fear any disturbances to their health or spirit. When you now practice the exercise for actual mental travel, you will no longer require a mirror and you will proceed as follows. Take up your usual asana posture and concentrate on your spirit. While you are in this posture, think that it is your spirit that can see everything, hear and perceive everything completely independently of time and space, and can move about as freely as if it were connected with the physical body. This procedure has to be executed each and every time before you travel mentally. The more profound your meditation, the more strongly you experience the sentience and certainty that your spirit is unrestrained and can leave your physical body freely in accordance with your will, the faster and better will be your success in mental travel. This meditation should require only a few minutes. When you have obtained the inner feeling of freedom and detachment, then imagine that you are stepping out of your physical body as if out of a shell, and that you are standing right next to it. You must understand how to transfer your consciousness into your spirit in such a way that you have the feeling of physically standing right next to your physical body, similar to slipping out of a dressing gown or slipping out of a shell. This is how this procedure has to take place, with the help of the imagination, especially since you have sufficiently practiced the concept of your own spirit in the form and size of your physical body with your mirror image. Then make the attempt and view your physical body in such a way as if it were sitting there in its usual position, as if it did not belong to you. Aspire to frequently repeat this state of consciousness of being unrestrained as well as standing beside yourself. While you are in this state, your first task is the meticulous observation of your physical body. As far as your physical body is concerned, attempt to observe every little detail, as for example the expression on your face, with your spiritual eyes open and your physical eyes closed. Observe your calm regular breathing, your clothing, the chair upon which your physical body is sitting, etc. In the beginning, as has been mentioned before, everything is based upon the power of your imagination. Later on it will no longer be necessary to imagine this. When, after frequent repetition of this exercise, you are absolutely confident that you are standing completely consciously next to your physical body and that you are observing it, then take the next step and direct your attention towards perceiving your immediate surroundings. Even here, your imagination will be of tremendous help to you. Always return to your physical body after you have completed your exercise. Enter your physical body as if you were slipping into a garment, then awaken and examine immediately whether everything that you imagined is true in reality. You must attain in your imagination such adroitness that the imagination of your spirit perceives all the objects in a room just as clearly and as true to reality as if you viewed these objects with your physical eyes. When, after an extended period of practice, you meet with success, you may continue with the next exercise. Transfer yourself next to your physical body, only this time attempt to walk to and fro in your room rather than just standing beside it. Do this as if you were dependent upon your physical body. This serves the purpose of making you feel earthbound, which in the beginning is of great importance, because your own lightness and the feeling of timelessness and spacelessness may often tempt you to move forwards with giant steps. Your physical body is not accustomed to this, and it is to be completely avoided in the beginning, in order that a clear separation of the mental body from the physical body can be achieved. Much later in time, after periods of prolonged exercises, you can make use of the laws of the mental spheres. Once you have succeeded in walking step by step back and forth in your exercise room, then open the door as if you were in your physical body and attempt to leave the room, step by step. At first just walk into the anteroom or the next room and follow the same procedure as you did in the previous exercise, imagining all the objects in this room, and as soon as you have returned to your physical body examine whether these objects are identical to the ones you imagined. Once you know with certainty that you can move and perceive everything with your mental body just as you do with your physical body, then you have reached the maturity to proceed. Practice makes perfect. The whole mystery of mental travel is contained in one thing only: practice, practice, practice. How very important all these exercises are cannot be emphasized or pointed out often enough, because they are the preliminary steps of the astral separation from the body. This is also known as ecstasy, wherein not only the spirit but also the soul together with the spirit separate from the physical body, which I will deal with in detail in Step 9 in the chapter on magical schooling of the soul. Once you can move about your house or apartment with the spirit or mental body as you do with your physical body, then you can begin to venture outside of your house or apartment for short distances. In the beginning, it will suffice to visit the abode of a neighbor, friend, or acquaintances who live in your immediate vicinity and whom you know well. Once you have gathered certain experiences through these exercises, you have to expand your field of endeavor and gather impressions other than objects. In the course of these exercises your consciousness is trained to such a degree that it attains the ability to perceive sensory impressions such as hearing, seeing and feeling in the mental body just as in your physical body. Continuous exercises in the training of mental travel will lead to these results. Continue to visit acquaintances and friends in order to find out what they occupy themselves with at that moment in time. For example, you might view a person performing their daily chores. In the beginning you may employ your imagination, but should you want to find out if the imagined course of action concurs in fact with reality, in other words, if that which you imagined is identical to what really happened, all you need to do is imagine that the person you observed with your mental body is doing something different or exactly the opposite. Should you be able to imagine this just as easily, then you can assume with certainty that neither activity corresponds with the facts, and that at this point everything is still a figment of your imagination. This means that you cannot proceed to the next step and that you have to continue with the exercise until you have reached the level in your development where you can distinguish fact from imagination. At first you will only sense that what you imagine truly corresponds with reality, because at this point of your development the senses have been to a great degree withdrawn from your physical body and transferred into your mental body. Later on, there will no longer be any need for misgivings, because you will gain complete certainty in regards to these matters and, as a result, you will be able to differentiate whether what you have seen, heard, and felt in your mental body is fact or imagination. After an extended period of time of practicing these exercises, this ability will be a very ordinary one for every magician. It does not matter where the magician projects or transfers his mental body, he will only perceive whatever actually takes place there at that time in accordance with the circumstances that prevail. Should you have made progress in so far that you do not feel fatigued when you are walking greater distances, as you would when walking in your physical body, then you have reached the required level of maturity, and not until then can you deal with the law of timelessness and spacelessness. At this point, separate your mental body from your physical body in the manner just described and think that you are not bound by time and space. While you are in the mental body, meditate that you can immediately travel anywhere you wish with it. This firm conviction is acquired through frequent deep meditation in the mental body. Should you wish to be somewhere with your mental body, all you have to do is imagine that you are already there and immediately it will be so. When it comes to greater distances, you will not achieve a satisfactory fluency unless you continuously and patiently exercise and frequently visualize that you have transferred yourself there. Only when you are completely convinced that your senses perceive everything, regardless of where your mental body may have traveled, whether over a vast distance or at any time of the day, then and only then has the time come to visit places that are completely unknown to you. While you are progressing, you should not neglect to sometimes visit those places that are known to you. Whatever your senses have perceived during your mental travels will not give rise to the slightest doubt that what you saw, heard, and felt there was factual. In order to become accustomed to all these unfamiliar impressions, you must practice for a long time and with great diligence. For this particular reason it would be advisable to visit tropical regions, sea shores, metropolitan areas, and the North Pole or South Pole with your mental body, in short, wherever you wish to be or whatever you desire to see. After you have practiced for extended periods of time, you will become proficient at transferring yourself wherever you wish, and you will be able to see, hear, and feel everything which transpires. The purpose of mental travel is not only to perceive everything that presently occurs wherever one travels on planet Earth, but also to be active or effective wherever you are present with your mental body. For example, not only can your mental eye see every ailment with which a human being is afflicted, but you also have the ability to treat these ailments right there and then or affect the afflicted person beneficially. All the successes and activities that you achieved before with the help of an elementary on the mental plane, you can now achieve yourself with your own mental body. Eventually, when you are at home in the entire physical world through mental travel and planet Earth has nothing new to offer to you, then visit other spheres with your mental body, in order to make contact with other beings and acquire knowledge which is beyond the comprehension of the average person. It is not very difficult to proceed to another sphere. All you have to do is mentally focus in on the sphere you wish to visit with your mental body, whereupon you are seized as if by a twister and lifted up vertically through a funnel. The transition from our material world to another sphere transpires so swiftly that you can fly around the entire world in a blink of eye. In this instance the magician must gather his own experiences, and for this reason nothing more should be said. While practicing mental travel, the magician will experience an almost insurmountable tiredness, which he must vigorously resist. The tiredness is the result of the loosening of the connecting cord, i.e. the life cord between the mental and astral body, which originally was caused by the separation of the mental body from the physical body and which consequently calls forth a transposition of consciousness and thereby causes this tiredness. Through continued practice, the magician will become accustomed to projecting his mental body and will no longer be subject to tiredness. The mastery of mental travel, which has been explained here, is an imperative preliminary preparation for the projection of the astral body, the practice of which you will find in Step 9 of Magical Schooling of the Soul.